Welcome aboard the Boat Buyers Secret Weapon podcast, where we're dedicated to helping first-time and experienced boat buyers find the right boat at the best price so they have years and years of boating fun, because life truly is better on a boat. Today's podcast is sponsored by the Boat Buyers Secret Weapon YouTube channel. Don't pay too much for your next boat. Just visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/save to watch a short video. Now, let's hop aboard and have some fun. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Boat Buyers Secret Weapon podcast. I'm your host, Captain Matt, and we're here with Mike. And Mike, I believe, is from Utah and has some things coming up that he wanted to talk about his boating lifestyle. So, Mike, I appreciate you joining us here.
Yeah, Matt, good to be here. And again, I'm just brand new to this. I have had some experience with boats, but I'm trying to go down a different path with a boat here, and look forward to our discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell everybody and myself about where you're at right now, what your boating background looks like, and where you're looking to go.
Well, years ago, I grew up on the Gulf Coast, spent a lot of time on a Hobie 16, so did a lot of sailing, and probably about 10 years ago, I decided to get a used pontoon boat, and I think it was a 28-foot Sun Tracker with a double deck, a second deck, and anyway, I towed that thing across country after buying it, and it was a fun boat, but a little bit cumbersome to move in and out of the water and tow different places, which is what I had anticipated doing. So I'm back along that path again today, and I'm mainly interested in a pontoon boat. One with some combination of performance and agility, not only on the water, but, towing. I do have a big truck. I have a 1-ton truck that's not a problem in terms of being able to tow, but this is more, I want it to be nimble so I can get it maybe one lake or another lake, just on an afternoon, jump in the truck and hook it up and go around the corner and throw it in the reservoir and ride around for a little sunset cruise, and at some point rig it so I might be able to camp on it and go cross country and stay in different lakes on the way to a destination, or back to my old hometown there along the Gulf, and I even take it out in the Gulf. So that's what I'm trying to do.
A little adventure. I like it. So there's a couple of things. That big old 28-foot double decker, I'm sure, was a hoss to pull behind your truck, big and wide and tall, and getting on and off the trailer was probably some work. Yep. I know you wanted to go smaller, and I wanted to talk about the type of water that you see yourself boating on the most. So what do the reservoirs look like out there? And you are in Utah, right?
Currently I'm in Park City, Utah, and within about 10 miles, 15 miles of three reasonably sized reservoirs. Okay.
And the reason I knew that is I saw the website from your email, and it looks amazing. You're into hot air ballooning and captaining and training?
Yep. That's what I do.
It looked amazing. I was a little bit jealous. A lot of people are jealous of me doing the boat stuff, but that looked incredible out there. So that's where I got the Utah thing from. So the reasonable sized reservoirs, what do the conditions look like out there? Does it get real choppy? Is it nice and smooth? Do you see yourself going out during the week when nobody else is out there? What does that look like for you, Mike?
Yeah, that's a good question. And my plan here is well, first of all, we have great weather here in Utah. I mean, we have a few storms here and there, but in general, the weather is conducive to flying hot air balloons, and it's also the same weather we use on the reservoir. So it's typically smooth. Obviously glass early and late, and in a typical day, there's not much chop. It's and I don't have any intention of going out. For instance, if I'm dedicated to fishing or something, I'm not going to go out when the weather's not right. So
Okay. Okay.
I have no interest in that. Now, had that being said, it again, however this conversation goes, possibly if I go down to the Gulf, I'll be putting in around Orange Beach, Alabama, and there are a number of bays there that are pretty calm, pretty smooth. And I guess if the Gulf is right, could go out on the Gulf and travel down the coast a little bit. But again, I know I'm asking for a lot. So
yeah, and here's why I asked that question is on pontoons especially. There's a rocking horse effect that can happen on the smaller tunes, and here's what I mean by that. If you've got your crustier waves, if you think of like 3 or 4 waves, you've got the up, the down, the up, the down. Like an 18 or 20 foot pontoon, it can get across from the back to the middle to the front. It can hit those 3 waves and give you a level ride if it's smooth out. But as soon as you get into anything that's, it's hard to say big, but maybe something a foot or so. Now you're gonna, that 18 footer for sure is gonna rocking horse and not quite make it to that third crest of the wave, and it's gonna go up and down, and it's gonna be dangerous in big chop. It's going to be uncomfortable in medium sized chop. And on a calm reservoir on a Monday morning, not a big deal. Not concerned about it. 16, 18, 20 feet, you're going to be happy. You start getting, the wind picks up. I would say on the coast, if you're going to go out at all anywhere other than just a totally protected bay on a flat, calm day and the weather is perfect, now I'm going to say I would really want to be at least 22 feet, which puts you at 8.5 feet wide on the beam. And I know that was a question that you have. So that's why I mentioned length. The beam just comes with the length at a certain point. At 20 foot or above, you're almost always going to be 8.5 or more, probably 8.5. But just something to think about, depending on like how realistic is it that you're going to be down at the Gulf and put in there. What type of lakes are you going to stop along the way on your journey around the country? And I'll tell you, in my opinion, if you were able to handle that 28 double decker at all, putting a 22 foot, 8.5 foot beam pontoon on the trailer and pulling it behind your truck, it's going to be a breeze. I really don't see you having issues with that. And the weight's not going to be much more. The handling is going to be, like I said, if you could do that 28 at all, the 22, you'll be like, oh my gosh, this is like putting a Matchbox car in the back of my truck. I just think it'll be that easy.
Right. So you're saying minimum 22 then for something.
I think if I was going to put myself out on the Gulf, and again, weather perfect, everything perfect, I would want to be in at least the 22, maybe even a 24 or bigger if weather was going to come up. But as a balloon pilot, weather, the importance of paying attention to that stuff.
Right.
So I have more comfort level that you're not going to put yourself in a dangerous situation, and how to look forward to those things. Unlike some people that don't have that knowledge and experience, But I think a 22 would be suitable for what you're looking to do, and kind of accomplish ease of maneuverability and trailering and hauling, through what kind of canyon roads and wherever you find yourself on your adventure, and being safe on the water in different conditions. I think it's a good combination of those two, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And the wave amplitude and the rocking makes perfect sense. And I don't want to get caught in something that's just a little short and starts to take a nosedive, because I'm assuming that's where the danger lies. It won't float out.
Yeah. You keep hitting that third wave on a downward angle, and now you're taking water over the bow, and that's never a good thing. And but you get to 22, and now you've got to hit some really nasty stuff to hit that point where you're going to be taking a nosedive.
Right.
If you get in bad weather, you just trim it up and you give yourself a nose highs attitude, and you glance over those, even 2-footers, even 3-footers, if you really know what you're doing and can handle the throttle. So now I'm not worried about you getting in a dangerous situation, because your knowledge and experience of the weather comes in, and hey, I'm just not going out today, and you have that judgment.
Right. And if you do get caught in it, at least you got a fighting chance.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to be much, much safer if something does come up, and much more comfortable on just hey, it's kind of choppy out today. I've never been to this lake before, and I'll say lake because I wouldn't do this on the coast. I wouldn't do this in the Gulf. But hey, it's a nice enough day. Maybe there's a storm rolling in later this evening. But I'm going to go out for a little cruise and check it out now, and come back and camp in this quiet cove. And now or camp on the trailer, like you had mentioned in the notes. Now I'm much more comfortable with you doing that in a 22.
And okay, so in terms of handling and trailering, once you go to a 23, in some ways, they've already got a beam of 8.5 foot. So in some ways, it doesn't matter how long it is, other than handling to drop it in the water or whatever. So
yeah, you really, on a pontoon, to me, the 22 to 24. You get to 25, and now it seems a lot bigger, because most of that length is in the nose, in front of the helm seat. But I personally don't feel much different handling a 22 than a 24. Like it's not significantly noticeable to me. On the trailer, it's going to be imperceptible. It's another 300 pounds of weight, maybe, and it's behind you. You're not going to notice trailering that extra 2 feet. And then it's just a matter of, well, now you've got an extra 2 feet behind you if you do get really adventurous and, getting some tight spots and some narrow roads and things like that. But for all practicality, it's going to be the same experience. You're not going to notice it if you just buy a 24. 23 is, doesn't matter at all, that extra foot. But I think anything past 24, now you get to, okay, that's quite a bit bigger, quite a bit more to handle, especially if you're by yourself in some situations.
Right. So towing and wind resistance and that kind of thing, the 8.5 foot beams, and they all have, the railing around tends to be, not just a railing, but they tend to catch a lot of air. Is that an issue? And it would be better if there's a lower profile as well on a trailer, but I've heard that those center, I don't know what they call them, but where the wheelbase is narrow.
The scissor trailers. I would stay away from those at all costs. The only time I would recommend those is, hey, I live 100 yards from the lake. I need to pull it out. I need something easy. Okay, it'll do its job. But as soon as you're traveling any distance at all, it's just not stable to have the only support in the center of the boat. As soon as you get some wind pushing that, or you take a corner sharp, now it's going to tip right over. And on your journey, on your adventure, no good at all.
Yeah.
But you put it on a bunk trailer, and now you've got to go above the tires.
Right.
And now you've just raised yourself up 2.5 feet, because you can't go you can't go any lower than that. Otherwise, you're going to rub the tires, and now you're going to be catching some wind. It's a light load. It's a light load for sure, but you do have a big, it's like hauling a pull behind camper. You just have a big wall there that's going to catch all the wind. So it would be important to have your right weight distribution.
Right.
I would also recommend a dual axle trailer in that case. The right hitch setup. Check your tire pressure every single time. Strap that baby down good in the transom straps and up on the bow. Maybe even put 4 ratchet strap it on 4 corners of the boat, just so it's nice and snug and secure. Especially if some of your journey is going to be through the mountains up in your area, where you might be going through a pass where some wind's going to be whipping, and just really, really pay attention.
Right. And I noticed most of the rails, again, have some sort of, aluminum plating or whatever on there. It seems to me if they were just, rails with, that are just like on a deck or something, it would be a little more airflow and perhaps eliminate some of that air.
Absolutely. I don't know anybody that just builds the gates around, unless you're going to do a project boat of some kind where, hey, I've got the deck, I'm going to put my own fencing and furniture on.
Right.
But yeah, even as you were saying that, even some of the manufacturers use half fencing, and it's more of the value brands that are going to do it. But where the fencing only comes up maybe halfway or 2/3 of the way to the top of the rail, and there's at least a 8-inch gap that would give you a little bit of flow through. If you look at like Sun Tracker, I know they do it for sure. There's several models that do it that you can easily find, where there's a gap between the main fencing is maybe 18 inches high, and then there's a rail, and then there's another rail, another 8 to 10 inches above that. But that gives you some airflow through and a little bit less kind of tight effect, if you want to call it that.
Right. And there's no major company that would just build a deck and say, hey, good luck, and, put your own furniture on there.
There's nobody that I found. Now, there's a couple. I would go with some of the smaller manufacturers. Like there's a company in Kentucky, and their name is Leisure Craft Pontoon. They're a custom builder, not a custom builder. They're a direct seller, and you may be able to contact somebody along those lines that doesn't build a ton of pontoons, but they would be willing to just send the base rigged up, and then you buy your fencing from like Pontoon Stuff or something like that.
Right.
But or maybe they would even build it without the fence, without the aluminum paneling and just the fencing rails, like you mentioned. But I don't know that for a fact. I don't have anybody I can say, yep, they'll do it for sure. I would think that they would be your best bet, somebody along those lines.
Right. So I also want as much the performance of a V-hull boat in terms of handling, turning, and whatever. Okay. And I've read that the Tritoon tends to meet that request much better than the double. Is that true, or is there some parameters on the Tritoon that are unique, or what something I need to look for?
Yeah, you're 100% right. If you're looking for performance, tri-tune's the way to go. That third tune, it also says definitely the 22, 22 or 24, somewhere in that range,
Right.
is going to be a better fit. That 8.5 foot beam, that length with that tri-tune, usually they'll set that tune down maybe an inch or two or do a different shape to it depending on the manufacturer. But whatever they do to that middle tune gives it the characteristic that it'll turn as sharp as a 21-foot bow rider. It'll accelerate depending on the horsepower as quick as most, if not quicker than most fiberglass boats or aluminum V-bottom boats. They're incredible performance wise compared to what you experience with your 28-foot big barge. Took you half the lake to turn around. But with a 22 or 24-foot tri-tune, you'll be blown away by the acceleration, the performance, and the maneuverability with it.
Right. So camping on something like this, I realize that I can have some full enclosures made, and typically a boat's going to come with some kind of bimini top, if not a full. I'm just thinking, I don't know whether I'd even set up a tent or just do a full enclosure. I don't want to spend all day, putting something up. I don't really know the time involved for doing something like that, but I sure would like to pursue that direction,
You're with that setup, there's a couple ways you can go. If you look in some of the pontoon owner groups, if you're on Facebook, there are people that have put just there's an aftermarket. Oh shoot, I wish I knew. There's an aftermarket tent that kind of it sort of rigged up, but it fits on the bow of your pontoon and it gives you enclosure there. Or you could go your route. You could put that second bimini on, or depending on the layout, you could just do this off the back bimini and get custom canvas with the isinglass, the kind of clear plastic that would zipper on to the top and then zipper on down the sides where the panels meet. And then when you're not using them, they actually can just roll up. So you roll them up and you strap them up to the top. And so realistically, 5 minutes, you could have your camper canvas down, hooked up, and fairly watertight, depending on how it's built and the Velcro and the flaps and things like that. That would give you really, really good protection.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And if you just talk to a custom canvas guy in your area, say, hey, here's what I'm looking to do. They can give you a pretty good estimate. And from what I've found, the good ones can build exactly what you want, including putting that second bimini on and making it look like almost a mini camper where it's just the whole thing is enclosed and other than the fogging up in the humidity, I've been on them with the full canvas. I've been on them with the half canvas on just the back bimini, and it's amazing. I mean, it's fantastic in the cold and the rain. The protection is great.
Well, that's good. So the thing I just need to consider is towing, and whether it's going to be agile enough for what I'm trying to do or not. Obviously, the performance and the safety is a key item too. So I'm with you on that 22 to 24. So towing, you just strap it down and hope for the best. I mean, it can't be worse than a camper. I mean, I've
never towed through mountains. I grew up in Nebraska. I live in the Carolinas now. So I've never had to, if I go, it's been to the coast. So I've never towed up through the mountains with the pontoon. What I do know is that if you strap it down good, you've got your weight distribution right, you've got your tongue weight right on the truck side, and you've got your tires in good condition. It's not much different than pulling a camper. And again, a dual axle trailer, which on a 22, you're kind of on the verge, depending on the weight. a 24, you would have to go with the dual axle to get the right weight and length. But if I'm towing, I'm putting it on a dual axle trailer and probably a couple 500 pounds more capacity than what I'm putting on it, just to be on the safe side. If you're putting a bunch of miles on it, but yeah, I can't imagine that it's any different than pulling a trailer of some kind.
Yeah,
Or a camper, I guess.
yeah, should be less. Actually, less. I mean, they only weigh 4,000 pounds, something like that. So, yeah, okay. Well, I think I've got a good picture of where I'm going from here.
Well, good. And I know you invested in that the First Time Boat Buyers Academy. So there's a lot of information there. I don't know if you were thinking new or thinking used or what your thing was there, but that will walk you through some of those decisions when you have time to watch those videos and get through those modules. But if you've got any questions, if you come into a situation, just shoot me a note, shoot me an email, and I'll usually get back within a day or so. Is kind of my usual response time.
Right.
And be glad to help you.
In terms of buying, it's a little different now. I mean, all the recreational items tend to be a little bit short. So I was just curious before I read your material if that still applies. All the items you have in there. I mean, these days.
It's everything applies. It's the one thing is, you've got to, here's my recommendation in general, and it's amplified right now, is you have to research slow. So inspection, finding the right, these kind of conversations, this type of thinking, you do that part slow. And then when you find the right boat, you inspect it slowly, you demo it, you sea trial it slowly and go through all the maneuvers. And when you know it's the right one, then you act fast. And today it's even quicker. You even have to accelerate the inspection process because they don't want to hold it for more than a day because they've got 5 buyers lined up. So, but don't skip that. Don't say, oh, if I say I want to demo it, they're going to sell it to somebody else. Well, still demo it to make sure you're getting exactly what you want, and just put up a deposit or something to lock it in. But don't put your money at risk by skipping any of the steps, but you do have to do them a little quicker these days. And then final payment and decision that I'm going to buy, it's no, I'm going to think about it. It's yes or no. And then if it's yes, move forward quickly.
Yeah. Oh, and one more. There are furniture layouts that would complement a camping situation. I've only seen one that looked like you could lay them out flat and actually sleep on that instead of bringing something else. But I guess that's specific to the manufacturer. So
if you go and look at some manufacturers, if you look at the bigger ones, Bennington, Crest, Harris, Premier. If you look at those, you're going to find pretty much all the layouts that everybody makes. The one thing I would think if camping out is, and throwing an air mattress in is an option for you, even finding a model where it doesn't have much furniture up front, or even pulling out one of the couches up front, if that's going to be how you're using it, would be a reasonable thought, I would think. And then again, talking to, some of the smaller manufacturers in your area. I mentioned, I think it's Leisure Craft Pontoon in Kentucky, that you might even find somebody that would build it for you with the fencing the way you would want it, no furniture up front, all the furniture in the back. And now you've got a perfect setup for your camping.
Yeah, that'd be good. One more question. I on this old 28 footer, I redecked it eventually because the deck just went bad. Most manufacturers make their decks out of plywood, marine grade,
Yes.
or hopefully. And I know Forest River makes one out of a kind of a synthetic material. I guess does the wood hold up? I guess at some point it can't. I mean, it's got to degrade. But
Yeah, here's my experience with the marine grade plywood is in the last 20 years or so, they have saturated that with so much chemical and treatment that they really are lasting lifetimes. I mean, it's something that it's probably degrading some, but I haven't seen a pontoon with a soft floor that's been built in the last 15 years. I'm not concerned about it, but you've got Veranda, who is using a patented aluminum interlocking floor, where it's kind of a aluminum channel that's maybe 2 inches, 2.5 inches long, or 2.5 inches wide, and it's going the width of the pontoon, so 8.5 foot, and they just interlock all the way down the full length of the boat. They've been building that for probably close to 20 years, and having good success with it. Everybody else that's tried aluminum has failed at some point. The heat messed up the glue, the carpet, the flooring wouldn't stick, or it got hot, or it got, after the flexing, it started cracking. So Veranda's the only one that's figured out aluminum. And then there's the composite material that's come from the RV industry that the South Bay, Berkshire trifecta are using. They just started using it last year, so they're on their second year or maybe third year with it. I haven't had any experience with that at all. I inspected it at the boat show this year. It's the first time I've seen it, but I haven't been out on it. And it's only been a couple of years, so there's no history to it yet. Who did you say? A Forest River?
Yeah, which is Berkshire.
Okay, yeah, so that's right, and that's why it's coming from the RV industry, because they own all the RV brands as well, right. The Forest River brands. So that one, I don't know much about it other than I saw their marketing, and I was on a pontoon that had it, but you really can't see anything, right? It's all right. It's all under the stuff that you can't see. So jury's still out on that one for me. I like to see things that have been around for a couple of years to see, hey, how is this going to really hold up over the longer haul? But marine grade plywood, I'm 100% sold on. The aluminum, I used to be a little iffy on it, but now after they've been around for so long, I know people that have owned Verandas. I know Verandas that have been run as rental boats. They seem to be holding up just fine. In probably the worst usage condition you could put them in. Yeah, right. So I've come over to their side that, okay, maybe they do have this figured out on the interlocking channels. And then again with South Bay and those Forest River brands, I'll hold my opinion for another couple of years until I ride one that's 5 years old and feel how is everything holding up,
Yeah, and they apparently warranty it for life, so assuming they're around or
yeah, and that's a company. I mean, they're a Berkshire Hathaway company. They're Forest River. They're not going anywhere. So I would, if they do have issues, I would have to imagine they would address them properly, being the size company and that they are in the different areas that they are. I did a video on this on the YouTube channel. Is I'm never personally going to buy the first generation of anything in boating. I'm going to let somebody else do the trying it out. Even the Bennington bow rider pontoon. I was like, I inspected the very first one that they built, and I was like, well, I can tell this is the first one because they hadn't figured this, that, and the other out. And I was told that the second generation was a huge step up in, just fit and finish and materials and little things that they hadn't fully thought through. So that's just my personal opinion. I'm a little bit of a laggard on new and improved stuff. I want to see it proven for a couple of years first.
Yep, I understand that. And on the tri-tune, typically you're going to get that middle tune a little bit. And of course, the bigger the pontoons, the bigger diameter, the better, I assume. And the middle one being bigger than the other two gives it some of its handling characteristics when you're driving.
Yeah. So most pontoons these days on a 22 or 24 foot is going to be a 25-inch in diameter. And then that center tune, it's going to depend on the manufacturer. They're either going to make it a 27-inch tube, which now, just by the sheer fact that the diameter is bigger, it's going to sit a little bit lower in the water. Or they're going to use a 25-inch tube, and they're going to just put a spacer bracket in that's going to drop it down an inch or two in the water. Or some of the manufacturers are using different shapes. They're going to use more of an oblong, oval shaped tune instead of a totally round tube. There's a number of ways they do it, but the bottom line is they're going to set that middle tube up in a way that's going to give you a little bit of banking and allow you to turn as sharp as you would ever want to turn on any body of water. It's just a matter of how do they achieve that performance. And there's a number of ways that they do it.
I see. So the oblong shape is going to give it more lift for the volume, right? Is that
you got it? Yep, you've got more surface area on the water. Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I did read. Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody does. It's escaping me right now, but somebody does the U-shaped bottom where it's almost a flat surface on the bottom. Why can't I not remember who's doing that? Premier maybe. But anyway, if you start looking at new pontoon manufacturers, they'll all talk about why they do their center tune the way they do, what the benefits are, and how that gives the performance or the additional flotation. But ultimately, they're all accomplishing the same thing: better handling, better performance, more buoyancy.
See, yeah, okay, all right. Well, I can't think of any more questions, Matt.
Well, that's good. That means this was a valuable conversation for you, and
it sure was
fun. I really enjoyed this, Mike. I appreciate you investing in the First Time Boat Buyers Academy and supporting what we're doing here financially. If you do come across a situation that you're in, just shoot me an email, captain@boatbuyerssecretweapon.com, same one you used last time. And I would love to see what you come up with and kind of keep me up to date on your adventure, because it sounds like a fun one.
Okay, I'll do that, Matt. I appreciate it and enjoyed the call.
All right, take care, buddy.
All right, see you. Bye.
Bye. Let's pull up the anchor and run this podcast back to the docks. We'll be back again with another helpful and fun episode next time. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/guest, and I'll help offer insights into your boat research and shopping experience. Also, we'd appreciate it if you took just 2 minutes to rate and review this podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. It helps others find us so we can help more boaters. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it in your boating groups on social media. They will certainly thank you. And by the way, if you haven't already, grab your free Boat Buyers Secret Weapon Toolkit at boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/toolkit. And so you don't pay too much for your next boat, visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/save for a short video. Now, before we go, I want to leave you with a few first-time boating tips for when you own your new boat. Number 1, know your local boating laws, basic navigation rules, and how to operate your boat safely. It'll make boating even more fun for everyone. 2, be aware of your wake at all times and pay attention to no wake zones, because you are responsible for your wake. When maneuvering at slow speeds, you can put out an enormous wake. If going slow, be courteous, save some fuel, and drop down to idle speed, just in forward gear, to ensure there is no wake. This could save you an expensive ticket and will keep you from being that guy on your waterway. Number 3, boats do not have headlights. They have docking lights, specifically made for seeing in tight quarters and docking. Do not turn your docking lights on while cruising down the water. It can blind other boaters and is very dangerous, and again, could save you an expensive ticket. Number 4, follow the maintenance schedule for your boat. Change the oil, impeller, gear lube, winterize if you need to winterize in your area. Inspect your trailer tires, bearings, and grease the hubs if you're a trailer boater to ensure you don't experience expensive and unnecessary repairs that will impact your boating time. Number 5, always double check your plug is in, your battery is charged, and the fuel is full before heading out for a day on the water. It could just save your boating day. And if you're a trailer boater, I've got a few extra tips. Number 1, at the boat ramp, prepare your boat, your gear, and your guests in the staging area. Then, when you're ready, back down the ramp, unload the boat, head to the parking lot, and right back down to your boat to be fast and courteous to your fellow boaters and don't tie up that ramp unnecessarily. Next, use transom tie-down straps when trailing your boat. Very bad things can happen if you don't, and they do happen. 3, check everything in the boat is secure before heading down the road. Seat cushions, gear, keys, towels, even tubes and lily pads can get blown out when pulling your boat down the highway or interstate. And most important, have fun. Enjoy your boat and get on the water as much as possible, because life truly is better on a boat. Until next time, this is your friend in boating, Captain Matt.